Yo, what up, guys? This is Joseph from your coach, and this video is about thinking Valorant. So first of all, what are the benefits? Sorry, excuse my writing, but what are the benefits of thinking? Why do you think in a tactical shooter? All right. One of the first reasons is just so you have a understanding of basically how the game moves and like what direction is it going? Because if you don't think, all right, if you don't think about what essentially think on if you don't think at all right, in a world without thinking, a game without thinking, legit no one would have an advantage. And whoever thinks further ahead than the opponent and basically makes plays that are basically against what the opponent is understanding, basically everyone wins, all right? Or not everyone wins, but the team basically wins, all right? Where without if you don't think, then the game just becomes more of an aim duel map, all right? Just an aim duel game where whoever kills the most wins, all right? So the reason for thinking is to put yourself in a better position to win because you know th- there's limits to this game, right? You can't be two places at once. So thinking could improve your rotations. So like your rotations will be better. Rotations. It will just improve basically you're playing together more where if there was no thinking, probably everything would people would just do everything randomly where someone would just randomly place a turret short and someone would randomly just push ahead of it and that turret has no value, all right? So it becomes just like this noise game where it's just kind of everyone doing something random to actually structure. So thinking could the more you think or just if the team thinks, it brings structure into how you play these rounds, and it makes players feel confident that all right, because we have a plan, because there's of this structure, I feel comfortable in what I'm doing, and I'm not doing this different thing every single round, and I understand that every play that I'm doing is contributing to a round win. All right, and not just doing something randomly. All right. Let me just clear all this. So, everyone knows that thinking obviously has benefits, but what do you even think about? What should be going on inside your head, all right? Inside your brain. This is what should you think, all right? What should you think? And you can pause the video and just kind of answer this to yourselves, but I'll give some time. So, the thing that you have to think about isn't aim because you aim all the time, all right? Every duel you take is aim, your mechanics, everything about your aim and your fights should be kind of smooth. It shouldn't you don't top players shouldn't be thinking about all right, I have to aim left, all right? They just instinctively do it by seeing and reacting and after aiming for thousands of times in deathmatch and many things, so you don't really want to think about aim. All right. You also don't want to think about how you play your agent. All right. So your agent, like you can't think about just you can't think about utility like isolated. All right. You can't just think about yourself and oh, I have a smoke. All right, smoke, or I have a flash. You have to it's not just one on one, all right? You can think about your agent, but you can't think too hard about your utility because with your agent, you should be comfortable with whatever utility you throw. Because if you're thinking about your agents and your agent's utility and how you should place it, then you're not able to think about the more important things that everyone else should be thinking on. And how you play your agent should honestly just be super comfortable and should just roll off the tongue. All right, you should like in a map, and then you have like basically when you're playing a map and you're playing an agent on that map, you should know exactly where you would like to play, what spots to play, what util to throw, and like all that. All right. So you don't want to think about those two. Then what do you think about? All right. And there's many things. All right. So I'm gonna give it to you. All right. Control. All right. How much space do you basically have on the map? All right. So spacing basically. All right. So like, do I have this control? What do I have control over? Because if you have control of one spot, then you could use that spot to your advantage and probably use it to gain more control or even more areas of the map, or even like, say, all right, if I have control of this, then no, then the other team doesn't have control of it. All right. So for example, if I have like C long on Haven, no one else has C long on Haven. All right, it's only mine. All right, I have the control until someone takes it from me. All right, so there's control. There is information. So information is different. Uh, uh, Information is different from control. Whereas control is you have a physical space. Information you have mental space. All right, so it's information is like mental note of utility of positioning and uh not just of yourself, but also the enemy. All right. So what information do you have, and what information does the enemy have? Okay. So an example of this, I'm gonna go back to Haven. All right. This is Haven short right here. This is like the short angle, and this is a lobby, and then this is like a long right here. All right. So this is a long. This is lobby short. All right. If if I have having control of it is like being like the defender being up here, all right? But having information is using utility like recon darts to scan like this, or like basic, or like a turret right here, and you have control until this is broken. This turret is broken, all right? And this turret breaking is also information, and like people are information, where if a person looking somewhere sees someone, that's information. All right, information from a recon dart, a player, a turret, or even just like based off control over other areas, because you actually have information on what's in short, because you have control over this. Because you have control over this, no one could get past and get control of this. All right, the attackers, when you're defending, you have control of this, and then the attackers have to take that control to then get info or take control of short. All right. So this is that's another piece of information to be thinking about. More information are that you have to think about is aggression. Where like by aggression, oh, this is actually horrible. I suck with the mouse. All right. So aggro. So by aggro, I mean what spots are they showing themselves in, or like like basically taking control of, all right? So what is the other team like actively taking control of, or what are you actively taking control of? All right? And uh like an example of this is like mid on split, all right? Let's do our drawing skills. So we have like a mid on split, like right here. This is like the stairs, all right? Stairs, vents, this mid area, and then like this lower mid area. And this is like your sewers, and this is like your what is it called? I don't know, market. I don't know. But so basically, there's like a box here, of course, like some ramps or some. All right, not artistic, but examples of aggression is basically like who are is any other team, either defense or offense, pushing down or getting control over this area. And since because two people can't play in once, so this is information, all right? Aggression also ties with information, which also ties with control. These three are also always together because if you're going aggressive somewhere, you're actively taking control, and then you're also giving up information because you're telling the other team, hey, I'm gonna give up this information to have this control because this control benefits me somehow. Or um yeah, so for attacking, if you're gonna take mid and like with three players, all right, you're telling the other team, yo, three players are gonna be taking this area, this mid area. We're gonna tell you, but in return we'll have this control, and you either have to fight us back and aggro us back for this control and show us what you're trying to do, or we're just gonna keep going and we're gonna threat to attack you even more. So that leads to our next point, which is threats. So during a round or like basically during a setup, like try to like see like what are you posing as a threat to the enemy team. So an example of this is just like um if if you are um like if you are in elbow, all right, this is sunset. This is sunset A elbow, so this is the A site, and it's like a box like this with like boom and like boom and boom. All right, this is A site, and this spot is elbow. All right, so this is elbow, and this is kind of the site right here. So if the defense if the defense sees an attacker in elbow, so there's a guy right here, an attacker, and the defensive players see them, or the attackers took control of over the space, the attackers are like essentially giving a threat that hey, I could take this at any time, all right? So there's many threats that could happen within the round, and this relates to rotates. So rotates is something you want to think about because if you're in a defense, if you rotate, you're giving away information. So like if you're in B and you rotate, you're giving away information to B to help and aggro defend A. All right. I'm just thinking, just I'm defining aggression as basically stacking or just putting many resources into something. All right. So aggression is basically just a collective like a specific amount of things to like hold or take space. All right. So aggro is just like many like basic. It's basically attention. All right. Like that's how I would put it. Aggro is attention. So because you're giving a threat, you're drawing in aggro from the B players, which these B players are giving up control, and basically if and these A players saw A defenders saw information and acquired information that there's a guy elbow, all right? And rotations are important because you want to decide, do you want to rotate or do you not want to rotate? And if you don't rotate, then if the threat is real, then you would be punished by it. But if it's fake, then you would be rewarded, and vice versa. So when you rotate, if it's a fake, then it's like really strong, and if it's not a fake, then you get benefit. The defenders get benefit, right? So um and and how do you read all this, all right? Or how do you basically know all of this is just basically from past rounds. This is the last thing, but you want to always reflect on past rounds. Reflection counts because if you don't if you think that every round is a new round, like you're completely wrong. The same players are playing these rounds and they're learning from the rounds before, every single one of them. So basically, all right, if one round these defenders don't rotate, all right? They don't rotate, then you just hit A and then you win the round, all right? You get your W. And then how then the next round, um like because of the past round where you hit A, if you do the exact same thing, he wants to win, right? He doesn't want to lose. So he's going to rotate faster next time, and then when you hit, you basically lose the round because he rotated, all right? And then because of the past round, you're like, guys, we lost. How about we just go for a fake? So you do this play again. He rotates even faster, and then because you faked, he gets punished, and you get that win. All right. And there's also like there is basically like many other things to it, but this is just like the full basics. And you could always just like let him adjust like quicker. Like you could adjust quicker. So like instead of losing the second round, you could infer that like, damn guys, because we had a strong exec, that B guy might rotate quicker next time. So I think we should just fake it already instead of just going for the hit and doing the exact same thing and get punished. All right. So then you could turn this loss to a win. So you can win 2 rounds in a row and then you play off that. All right. But yeah, those are the basic things to think about. It's not much because like honestly, all like connect all these four, all right? Like maybe even five, and then it's just pass rounds because everything is connected to one each another. People rotate based on the control they have, based on the information they have, based on the aggro threat, rotate, and probably even time. All right, you that's another thing you want to think about time, which I'm not gonna write here, but it's just a very important thing you want to think about. Okay. Next thing. All right. So um, all right. I get what to think about, but what are my goals on the attack? What are my goals on the defense? Like, what are your goals? Like, you thought about it, but what should you try to do with it? Cause you're thinking doesn't mean you're formulating a plan. You're just like kind of just thinking, right? You're not actually like solving a problem. Like thinking won't solve the problem, all right? It's solving the problem that solves a problem. And to get the information to solve the problem, you have to think about like the situation you're in. All right. So we're starting off with thinking, and then we're gonna be going to goal planning. All right. The goals the basic goals for attack is to one hit the weaker site, hit weaknesses. Is the reason why is because util is finite. You don't have infinite util. All right. If you hit a strong site, so 4, and you're gonna hit 5 to this 4, it becomes a 1, all right? Because you have to use a lot of util. Not, I'm not talking about players, but like just kind of like presence. But like like say you hit 5 with a util value of 8, and they have 4 with like a util value of like 7. Like now you have only now 8 minus 7, you only have one part util, all right? This is just like kind of fake math, but it essentially like there's different teams have different amount of utils. Like obviously the duelists probably have the least, and like initiators have the most util, right? So you want to like kind of hit the weaknesses. So instead of hitting the 4 with 8, how about you just hit the 1 with like 3 players and like 4, all right? So instead of 8, you're using 4, and you're basically going to win this for less, all right? And each site is basically like there's some sites are equal, all right? In 3 site maps, I'm just going to say A and C are dominant while like B is like recessive, bro. I'm like thinking of biology because I just failed the test I had in that class, and I'm like actually kind of low key pissed, but um And in like two site maps, they're both equal. They're both A equals B. All right. So like like I want you guys to think about it, like, and like think about hitting the weaknesses, because if you hit the weak sites, then you could have a successful post plant. And this is important, all right? Because the bomb, the you get a round win by killing the enemy, eliminating the enemy. You get it by on attack. You get it by killing the enemy and basically like bomb explosion, bomb explosion. There's no in between. All right, and this is killing and bomb explosion is like the only two rounds ways to win. All right, you can't win on time. That's the defense, or you can't win on defusing the spike because you're planning it. All right, and this is important. All right, because um, killing is one thing, but many players don't really care about the bomb explosion, or they think they win the round when the bomb is planted. All right, this is not necessary because the defense has a a way of winning, as in defusing the bomb. All right, most like bad defenses do not defuse. All right, bad defenses do not defuse, and like they there's many ways to defend, but bad defense basically like never diffuses, all right? And they're always retaking and doing the retake like 3v5, all right? And that's really bad, all right? So like the reason why like in your ranked games, you five man and it's so successful is because this is what happens, all right? You have like a one like they have you have one sentinel. The defenders have one sentinel on one side, and like two players mid and two people on B. Right? Your five just goes here. These two people die, and it's 3v5. All right, and you win because of that. You get your win, but like in structured play, people know how to like people don't want 3v5s, all right? They have plays to, kind of disrupt you. They like go down mid, so they're playing aggressive. They also like they have good stall utility. They're playing better team comps, so their stall util is better. They have one ways, they have mollies, they have like whatever they want, or they just even fall back, all right? They even just go back, right? And then just retake on you, all right? Or they have defensive comps where they're having like double sentinel or viper sentinel or double controller, and it's hard for you to go through these smokes, and that's why they're because their comps they're defensive sided, all right? So while when you're playing ranked, it's like double duelist clove, like one initiator and one sentinel, and it's like that's why these like hits are working, just because like you're using all your util, right? And that you're using all your util to hit two people, and you kill these two people, and they either get a kill or they don't get a kill, and then you play a post plant with no utility and you get cooked, right? So that's just like low key, that is like the difference between ranked and actual team play is just like these other ways to win that people go for, all right? Um and the last goal is just uh gain sites. Gain sites to from rotations. This is this is like default like goals. All right. There's always like just like take the site and just play post plan, play lineups. There's other mini goals, but these are like the main attacking goals in like defaults. All right. They wanna hit the weak sites. All right. They wanna give these post plans, and they wanna succeed in these post plans after planning. And the way to do that is mainly gaining the site from rotations, because people are rotating thinking it's going to be A, but it's actually B, and then you plant B, and then because you're planting B, you're hitting the weaker site, and because you're hitting the weaker site, you have more util for the post plant, making that more successful. All right, and that's like kind of the importance. You could always overload in util and like just have a bunch of utility, But then like those utility are like used for taking the site, and then like not really for like holding or containing space. And like the vice versa, if you're gonna be playing like a less initiators, you gotta like kind of understand, you know, how to hold, all right? Because you don't have those retake utility, but you don't have to worry so much about the post plant because you have so much holding utility if you're playing like a double controller, because you could always smoke off the CTs areas, or you always can molly the chokes with your sentinel utility, or like a brimstone molly, stuff like that. So yeah, that's offensive goals. And your defensive goals would be, let me erase all of this real quick. Your defensive goals will essentially, hold up. Okay. Your defensive goals will essentially be, um, just figuring out the attack, figuring out the attack. All right, because your defense, you're holding a lot of areas. You're holding like this area, then this area, and you want to find out which area the attacker is going to. All right. And like it could theoretically be anywhere because the attack is basically trying to get at you, all right? And you're trying to outsmart the attack by getting to them, but like 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 getting to them bef before they get to you, to your weaknesses, all right? So we this happens like I said, rotations and like stacking a site and just like guessing that they're gonna go here because they think it's weak, or like many different ways. All right, and like by stalling and make like playing rotations, um, it's by retaking and playing bomb defuse, or it's by shutting down their game plan. So shut down. So basically like fighting back on whatever they try to take, all right? So like if they take like mid, you fight back and then you re-clear mid, all right? If they take A, instead of giving up sight and playing post plant, you're actively throwing utility to stop them, all right? Utility to stop them. Okay? So that's basically the defensive goals. It's just like look, it is really the opposite, and like not getting tricked by the attackers, and knowing where to be. All right, what's the places to be? All right. Now let's go to pre-round. All right, what are the steps to pre-round call round plays? So pre-round. All right, when you have like in these pre-rounds, you have 30 seconds to think and like think about the enemy, all right? If you're not thinking about the enemy's definitely thinking about you, and that's the reason why you're probably losing, all right? So, first step, what is their setup? Set up, all right? What are the uh, what are the attack, or what are is the defense doing? All right? This could be like common like if you don't if you're at round zero, or at round 13, basically the half point or the beginning, it's going to be common agent positions. Agent position. Like there's gonna be like, oh, their smokes is gonna be playing B so they can smoke both sides, or their smoke is or like in Haven, or the smokes is going to be mid so they could rotate and smoke both sides. Or it's gonna be, oh, the Sentinel likes playing on this site because it's harder on Sunset. People like playing B on Sunset as a cipher because it's a lot harder than holding A, so you need the Sentinel. Or there's always going to be a trip mid uh for the rotate, or like if KJ is on icebox, he always has a turret in boiler and looking down mid. All right, there's all these like common positions that agents play, and like even in round 0 you could make a read on what their setup is, because it's going to be a setup that brings all 5 of those agents on that map together, all right? So like you could have basically an inference on basically what they're gonna do, and that's just like the more you like understand agents on specific maps and how it's played, and just like if the more nerd out you get on the game, all right? So, and this is could be from past rounds, all right? So this is another thing you think about, and like using past rounds to identify their setup. All right. Pre-round. Use past rounds to identify setups in the pre-round, current pre-round, and then you use those for this second step. All right. Problem. What is the problem? Why are you losing? All right. And we could you don't basically just say, "Oh, I'm losing because this jet is going 30 kills on us." It could be that, all right? But it's just like, all right, what about their position is stopping us from avoiding this jet? Or what about like what kind of setup are they using to like promote this kind of play, or shut us down, or like basically stop us from doing our plans, all right? Um so like what is the thing that we haven't solved yet? What is how do I say this? Like pre-round plays, like the problem, all right? Like what is something that they're throwing at us that we don't have an answer for, all right? Like essentially, it's just like it really is just what are they doing to us? Are we just like dying one on one? All right, how do we not die one on one? All right, how okay, we'll take this space together, or we'll play back at first and make sure we don't go too far up at the beginning, just in case they do like this defensive push or offensive take here, and we do stuff like that. All right, so yeah, setup, problem, identify your problem. Next, you want to reflect on what worked. All right, reflect on your past plays, because if you're like, all right, we're doing like the common reflection is like, oh guys, we're going A B A B, all right. So let's just like go B twice now, all right. So they don't do that. That's like the legit like the most common play, and like the most readable thing ever, because people notice patterns, and reflecting on yourself and what you're doing will also say like, damn, I think we're doing something wrong. We're doing this and this wrong. All right. If you after you reflected, or like, wait, this agent shouldn't be in spawn. This agent should be lurked up. All right, I think we should lurk up more, because we're not getting that much impactful on the lurks, or we're not even dying up front that much. All right, or our sentinel is basically playing super far back. All right, or like, or another solution is like, oh, Sentinel, go play with the team, play with us, so we could help with our executes. So the executes work, or help with the retake. All right, so we have a 5v5 retake instead of you being in spawn or something like that. Sorry, Brian, if you think you took your shots, but like, yeah, basically reflect on past rounds, and like what you are doing. All right, what you are like reflect, all right, is this thing good, all right, is this thing bad, all right? And you could notice that if you could notice it by like thinking on the basically thinking on control. How much control do you have? How much uh like how much rotates are you manipulating? um like how basically your coordination, basically anything, like whatever I said earlier, basically. All right, control, like spacing, information, like rotates, stuff like that. All right, all right. The next one, after you reflect, you think about what you haven't done. All right, so what have I not done? I not done. All right. So this is like if you're just only going A every single round, they're just gonna go A. All right, because you're going A every round. But if you hit it with a B, that's like surprising. It's like, damn, they actually went B. Like you're, the enemy sentinels be like, damn, bro, I played B every single round at the side. I played A. They actually went B, bro. Are you kidding me? Like, fuck f this and stuff like that. So yeah. So what have I not done is very important, because if what you're doing is not working, you're losing every rounds. If you do something you haven't done, that's probably better than losing 4 times in a row. All right. If you do the exact same thing 4 times in a row and you're losing, that's not so smart. All right. You're not thinking. You're not really like thinking and making a good solution. All right. So think about what you haven't done. All right. This could apply to like like from a broad sense, like a team based thing, to even an individual. It's like, all right, I'm like doing kind of the same thing, like in my entries. Like I'm a duelist and I'm doing the same thing in my entries, and like I'm getting shut down a lot. So I'll change up my entry. Instead of entering from this side, I'll entry from the other side, and I'll clear this angle first so I could like live a bit longer. All right. Next, after that, um, evaluate all options. Evaluate all options. So basically, if you evaluate all options, you could you first you need to make options. So you gotta think about many things. Basically, all your options in the plays that you can. Because if you reflect on past rounds, you can see what worked. Basically, what worked or not worked. All right. So you could either improve in your not worked one to make them work, or you keep doing your worked one, the things that worked, and also you discover new things. So you get new ideas. So you either do something new, you do something, you improve something that almost worked or not hasn't worked yet, or you do something that worked again, and those are basically all your options. And there's like many different, there could be many different new ideas you could have. There could be many things that worked, many things that haven't worked that you need to improve on, and you evaluate all those options and see which ones the is probably the best to play. All right. And to evaluate it is probably just like by comparing it to their setup. All right. If you compare it to your setup, and it's like, I think my new idea makes more sense to what the enemy setups are commonly doing, or I think what worked before has a better shot against this setup that the enemy team is playing. Because you can't just think about what worked and what hasn't worked. You have to identify the context. This worked against this setup, all right? That worked against that setup, all right? So we shouldn't play that against this, all right? Are you following? All right. So then after you evaluate, you make the call. Make a call. All right. You can't do many things at once. All right. There's only 5 people, and you can't go A, go B, and go C at the same time because you're stretching yourself thin. So you have to make a call and just like play one of the options. All right. You can't do everything at once, and you have to go for one option at a time. And doing these new options will basically then in later rounds of the half will make you able to make better decisions later on. So if you do something that not worked, try to improve it and it worked, then great. All right, now you have something that works. Maybe do you want to do it again, or do a new idea, or go back to an old idea that worked earlier. All right, and stuff like that. You should do it on both offense and defense. So like if like you have a defense that doesn't work against like an A exec, try to either improve that defense towards the A exec, or you do something different, or like you have a new setup that you haven't shown before. All right. So this applies to attack and defense. All right. So I just gotta say. So yeah. All right. So that's basically it. And always throughout the round, keep communicating with your team, because maybe one of these is wrong. Maybe their setup is wrong. If their setup is wrong, basically, and your call was based on a specific setup, then that call wouldn't work against that setup, all right? Like if you think that there's an opper on A basically, but he's on C now, then the call that you made for when he's on A would not work against when he's on C. Then you should just like cancel and like communicate, yo, we have there's basically there's a chamber or an opera on C now, all right? And then we get into the mid round. And when is exactly the mid round? When does it start? When does it end? It ends when the bomb is planted or when the round is basically like sometimes there's no end round and you just all die in the mid round like by like an ult or something like that. But all right, but during like after the initial plan, then uh basically first you you should always evaluate how successful the plan is. How how successful. That is a W, not a H. How successful. All right? How successful is your plan? All right? Um like I said before, if your if your if your read on what the enemy is doing on the enemy set up. If this is wrong, then everything else that you like evaluated, everything else that you thought that was gonna happen is also probably not gonna be the best play because your best play was against this. All right, your enemy or not this your enemy setup, not this. All right, the setup that they're running now. All right, or all right. So uh, if you feel like it's not working and it's not successful, everyone should just call out uh cancel. All right? Canceling will stop your old plan and turn it into a new plan which wins. So these are mid round calls, all right? After the beginning call and things change and enemy setup changes, then you should go into the mid round, all right? Then that's where the mid round starts, where all the pre-round stuff has ended, okay? There is rounds that like that start with just like the starting rounds, and then the mid round is when after util is exchanged, after some players die, and this is when um you could either call out or cancel. Like if you're still continuing a plan, all right? Okay, next you could even call to continue, all right? So the mid round doesn't necessarily mean all right when I mess up, because a mid round happens every round, and you could plan for a mid round, but it just like if things change, you should most likely cancel. If it doesn't, you should most likely continue and continue on with your default with your normal plays. Like on defense, like if you feel like you're pushing A, right? You're pushing A. Your plan is to push A, but after like a dart, they were supposed to break it and they haven't. You call, okay, guys, cancel. I think they're going C, all right? Because like if you read like a hit or the like if you're in Haven and you read like you're in Haven A long is like A long right here. This is short. Okay. If you went for a play to take this and your play was like, all right, if they break this dart, that means there's gonna be a hit, and we need to push out and fight and like this, and then you dart, it's not broken, then you cancel call, and then you like rotate. It's gonna be C, all right, or B or whatever site. So there you could make plays and call the cancel. You want to know when the play stops and like when first off, like in defense, like when there's like a trap play, when do we start? When do we start? When do we end? All right? When do we like stop going and go back? All right? You want to communicate this pre-round, of course, but this is a very important. So after this, you always during the round say how successful is this? Are we fast enough in our A exec, or are they rotating already? And we have to fake and cancel our call of going A. All right, because we don't want to like the goals are to not hit the site with three people, but to hit the site with like one or two people. So if they're rotating right here, and our attacking goals is to not do this, then we should cancel our call because our call is most likely going to be bad, all right? Unless we are fine with going 5 versus 3. which I think most likely sometimes yes, sometimes no. You could make the decision because if they, because then if you could like pause, like you could do a pause, it's like guys, all right, cancel, cancel. We're gonna pause and rehit. All right. Then these people rotate back. It's like, oh man, I over rotated. All right. Two people rotate. It's one person, and then you hit and then you hit. All right. So there's like many different ways you could play this. All right. So it's just like what's your read on the enemy? Do you read that they're gonna rotate? Do you read that they're gonna stay? Do you read that they're gonna rotate fast? Do you think that they're gonna rotate slow? You gotta think about that. Do you read that they're gonna give up sight? Like, and that could just be based on previous rounds, and you just gotta think about that stuff, right? You just gotta think. All right. Next, after that is basically wait, hold up. Re And then after, if you cancel, all right, if you cancel, you can't just like say cancel, guys, cancel, all right? Now what? You have to offer an alternative. All right, offer an alternative, all right? The reason why you want to alter an alternative is because a plan has to be played out, right? If you just say cancel and just do whatever, then you're gonna do something random that's not coordinated, and that's just going to end up in like a just like you win off of a kill or esque, all right? So if you say cancel or like even in the pre-round, if you don't agree with the calls, like say let's do this instead, all right? You can't say if you're IGL or like anyone says let's go A, all right? Instead of just saying no and then like not offering an alternative, that's like no, I think we should go C because I think they're gonna do this round. They're gonna aggress A, they're gonna do something, and then you have to always offer an alternative if you cancel or want to change a plan, all right? Or don't want to do it plan. All right? Then after that, after you offer an alternative, you have to basically reevaluate any positions. Reevaluate. Evaluate. All right? So uh, if you when you reevaluate, um in the mid round, you're doing your call, right? You're doing your call. This is also it ties to canceling and continuing. So if you continue a call, you could keep reevaluating success and like just reevaluate enemy util enemy position. All right. So you want to keep evaluating this because this is basically you thinking about where they're playing. All right. So instead of thinking back, you're thinking in the moment. All right. Because you always want to be thinking in the moment because in the moment is happening now. The round is playing out now. All right. You're not making a plan based on the past. If you're in the mid round, you're basically making a plan based on what's happening now. So if your call out was like a default, and then you're constantly reevaluating enemy positions. Are they sticking to A or are they rotating to B? All right, in the mid round. All right, so you could use util, like you could give information to the enemy. Yo, my Sova is droning B, or my duelist is on B, or a smoke is on B, and we're taking B main, or something like that. And then that's information to them, right? And then you could re reevaluate, your lurker could reevaluate, be like, yo guys, the enemy's rotated, all right, instead of staying like they usually do. And then call your enemy's teams back in the mid round and say, cancel B, guys. I actually go A, all right? So this is basically just like you always want to do this, and like as you think about these things I said to think about earlier, like these will naturally just come about, all right? So this is just part of communication. So reevaluate enemy team. Then I said this again, but uh think about figure out basically what info. So look at info based on the info. So basically the lurkers hearing them run away, all right? So you want to look like keep in mind for info, Then you have to keep in mind for space and control. So space they have how deep are they mid? Do they have enough to see our rotations, or do they have control over like the super control over the B site? So like, should we even try to take this space, or should we, or do they actually don't have control and they're actually still rotating? So we could still take this before they, before they rotate or stuff like that. Any occasions. So figure out basically what info, the enemy and info space control, both sides. All right, both. I can't spell both sides. So this is not just the info that you have; it's the info that the enemy has of you. All right. What does the enemy know about the you and themselves? And what do you know about the enemy? And what do you know that the enemy knows about yourself? All right. This is important because if the enemy could be like, "Yo, guys, we made a bunch of noise. We made a bunch of noise leaving. Maybe there's a lurker, and maybe I have to go down mid and try to like see if they're rotating or hear if they're rotating, or stuff like that. All right, you get what I mean? So like, if like on Haven, all right, B, A, C, they they stack A, right? And then there's actually one person who pushes mid, all right, and they could be like, guys, I think like the C guy goes to mid and then be like, while rotating to A, he was going to rotate to A, but like he says, we made a bunch of noise rotating. I'm gonna go B, and then he hears everyone running, all right? And then you have info, all right? And this is because this C guy, this person on C, knows that the people on the attack are going A, and the people on the attack know that basically the defense knows and are constantly rotating and they're going. It's sorry, I can't really explain it. If you get what I mean, you get it. But if not, you could always ask me a question. All right, my DMs are open, or you could comment under the YouTube video. I don't think I don't even check the comments. Not gonna lie. So yeah. Then after that, um I identify util. All right, what util do you have? All right, the reason why util is just so important is because if you, I mean, like I don't really want to. I don't know a simple way to explain the importance of utility, but util is very important and it's an important part of your plans, all right? Util could hold your flank, all right? Util could do all these like special stuff. Like they could flash the enemy. They could create a wall in front of you that constantly moves, or be a protective shield around you. And like that's like useful tools against like an op, or useful tools against like someone who could flank in the first 5 seconds, like a Yoru or like a Neon or a Jet or like anything. And they're super useful. And like if you bait out utility, if you know the enemy uses their recon, they don't have it again. Like util is finite. There is regenerative utility, but that takes time. So like during that time, you could do stuff where they don't have it. All right. So I keep trying to think of some examples. So like if is a senti util still there? All right. On like if you're attacking, is the senti util there? Right. If they have the senti util, then they're probably rotating off because they have that util to hold it, all right? Senti. So they have like they have the cipher trip mid, all right? And because the tripwire is mid, all right? There's zero people behind this, all right? So this is a face. Uh, there's zero people behind it. So basically, you're like in the mid round, you could identify, all right, they because of this new setup that they have, they probably have a cipher trip mid. So let's go break the cipher trip to manipulate rotations, all right? And that's a good goal for the attack, to manipulate rotations, because in the end, they want to hit a weak site. So they have more util for the post plant and they could win the post plant, all right? Next, all right. Util. This is an important one. Util. All right. Next is just making the play. All right, making the play. This doesn't have to be in the moment. This could be done like in Valorant, talking to each other. But basically, y- because you canceled, you have to do that together. All right, you have to not like you guys still have to make another play. So you guys have to actively think about that new play you're gonna do that after you canceled, or while you're continuing, like what's the final play basically? Because maybe some like a continued default won't really have a necessary like ending sight. So after making the play, you then communicate calm. You just communicate with the team because you gotta communicate with your team so your team kind of understands like, all right, we're trying to go fake B, but we're gonna go A now. We're gonna go A now. All right. So me as like an initiator, all right, I'll stay here. All right, keep lurking up. All right, and I'm gonna use my util B while yeah, while y'all walk A because the enemy thinks that if we're gonna use util on B, then Sebi, I'm doing a video right now. You're calling me. Hello? Four. All right. See ya. Okay, 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 okay. Peace. Sorry. All right. Sebastian was calling me. All right. You gotta get at him. All right. So, obviously calm to your team. You your team needs to calm. And basically, this is it for the first part of the video, where I already this is already too much for me to do. I can't really do it in one take because I'm recording this on a school day. I do have a game today with the B team and a bunch of other stuff. So I'll see y'all next time and peace out.